Cool, great. So let's kick off now. Hello and welcome to everybody. Thanks for joining today's session. We've got about 77 people who actually who have joined us today, so appreciate that. A recorded version of this webinar will be available. We will send that around to all attendees and anyone who's registered. We are going to have a Q&A section towards the end of the webinar. Should be a Q&A button that you can click on and ask questions within. Please feel free to. We'd love to hear your feedback. If we don't get a chance to answer your question today, we'll definitely follow up with you individually. So I'm Mick Patel. Hopefully a lot of you know me already. I'm the Managing Director at Netstar. I've been in the industry for around 18 years and founded Netstar 18 years ago. And I've got with me my colleague today, Maria. Maria, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you, Matt. Some of you probably already know me and we've been working together. I'm one of the business technology advisors here at Netstar. Been with the company for just over 3 years, and I look after a big portion of our clients. I'm here to share some of my knowledge and experience with you guys, hopefully get you on board with working remotely and collaborating better.
Thanks. So the reason we're doing this today is what Netstar's mission is really to help people succeed through technology. So we want to ensure that out of today you get a quick overview and a grasp of what teams could potentially do for your business. Because what we're all about is ensuring that you guys can succeed. So in terms of the agenda today, we're going to be talking about what Microsoft Teams is. We're going to give you some insights on how Netstar currently uses Teams. And then Maria's going to help with a live demo on how you can actually use Teams at a high level. And then we're going to go into a Q&A. So hopefully today will be an interactive and fun session. And please ask as many questions as you'd like in the Q&A bit. So how we work has changed, right? So I think this is a big statement in terms of how we work has changed. So what I'd like to quickly do is just put a quick poll out there to everybody. And the poll that I'm going to put out to everyone is really phrased around this. Are you in more or less meetings compared to 5 years ago? So you should have a pop-up that pops up on your machine, and if you can just click on the thing where you think is relevant to you, it'd be good to get some data. We'll let this go on for another 20 seconds. Great, thank you everyone. We've got a lot of data there. So the reason I asked the question is what I've seen within Netstar and what we're definitely seeing out in the community is that the workspace has shifted from working in isolation in your own cubicles to being a lot more collaborative. And in terms of the results that everyone just typed in the polls that we've seen so far, generally people say that they're on between 2 and 3 times more as many meetings. As you can see the results now, the highest score was about 2 times more. So what we're actually seeing is a lot more collaboration than ever really. And what we're probably facing now, due to the current pandemic that's going on, is more remote collaboration than ever really. And due to COVID, the office as we currently know it has really changed. So our team is now all based remotely, all working from home where they can. One of the things potentially that we need to look at is really how can we collaborate better? And this is part of what Teams hopefully can show you. There's been a lot of talk about, a lot of gossip about the baby boom happening. There's going to be lots of increase in divorces and all sorts of stuff. But one of the things that I think that's in front of us is this remote working boom. And I think post-COVID, there will be a huge increase in the amount of people that work remotely. Greater efficiency and productivity is one of the things that that is a potential outcome of remote working, because there's fewer distractions at home, reduced stress potentially, because people don't have to travel, and they can save, you know, a couple of hours a day going backwards and forwards. In terms of fewer overhead costs, people might not need to have such big offices that they do at the moment. And generally, people working remotely are happier, so they're less likely to actually leave. And that's definitely, on some of those things, the things that we're seeing at Netstar. So bearing that in mind, I'm going to ask one more poll, and this one's an interesting one. And it's really to ask the audience what your biggest struggle has been with working remotely at the moment. So again, you should get a pop-up in a couple of seconds, and if you can answer that, that would be really good. Maria, without you seeing this pop-up, hopefully, what would you say your biggest struggle has been so far?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I think probably in the first weeks, I found that I was actually scared that collaboration wouldn't be as efficient and we wouldn't be able to have as many meetings as we would normally in a pre-COVID world. But what I found recently is that that's not actually such a big struggle, with all the technology empowering us to do essentially the same activities as before, just that remote.
Yeah, definitely. So I've got a survey that was actually done by 20,000 people, out to 20,000 people that work and who work remotely. And the results of that survey are so actually they said that 20% of the people said that collaboration and communication and loneliness were the biggest problems. However, on our poll, actually not being able to unplug is the biggest problem. What do you think about that, Maria?
That's definitely a challenge because you are in the same space all day long. It's actually hard to just stand up and walk away from work. Something that a lot of psychologists actually recommend is that we work in a different room than the room that we have dinner in, and that the room that we sleep in, and that changing that environment is actually a healthy habit and will help people unplug easier from work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I can definitely sympathise with the audience about not being able to unplug, because although I don't have to commute anymore, which I absolutely love not having to commute, I often find myself sort of starting at 7:30 in the morning and then going on to sort of 5, 6. But I think I've been a lot better at ending work on time, but not being able to plug is a big challenge there. The second biggest thing is really around collaboration and communication that people have been struggling with. And hopefully some of the stuff we show in Microsoft Teams today will be able to address that. And distractions at home is an interesting one. Part of being in another room really spoke about, but I actually read something around buying a pair of noise cancelling earphones. And there's a couple of apps actually that we'll send around after in the email follow-up that I found work pretty well to block out lots of noises. So, what is Microsoft Teams? So, what Microsoft Teams is a chat and collaboration platform for Microsoft 365 customers, really designed to simplify group work. And I'm just going to go through various elements of what Teams is, because we'll go into a bit more detail in the live demo. But essentially, Teams is set up as a hub for teamwork. And it consists of various components for that. And the first component is really chat. So instant messaging, both in groups and one-on-one. So what we found works really well at Netstar is the ability to be able to chat to your colleagues, and I'll touch on that a bit later. The second thing is being able to make video calls with your colleagues, and again, this can be one-on-one or with multiple people. What we often find is a chat conversation can quickly turn into a quick video call because it can get dealt with much, much quicker. A bit like in the old days where people used to send lots of emails to each other, where actually if they picked up the phone, you could just get that thing sorted straight away. I'm sure you've been in those situations before, right, Maria, where emails have gone backwards and forwards to colleagues, and actually if you just picked up the phone, it would have got stuff sorted, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm glad we're not as engaged in endless email trails anymore these days.
And again, it's definitely easier to communicate via a video call or a chat call. Funnily enough, Microsoft had their largest day ever. 2.7 billion meeting minutes were actually consumed on March the 31st. And that's up from sort of 900 million, which was the last peak pre-COVID. So it really has taken off using these video calls. The next thing you can do within Teams is really share and collaborate on documents. So you can access files and edit them live together, or share your screens with your colleagues within your own company or potentially even outside your organisation. So this really helps enhance that collaboration, really. Teams does integrate with a lot of applications, especially Office 365 applications. One of them that I'm showing you at the moment is something called Planner. So this really helps as a to-do list. And again, it can be for you personally, or it can also be for your team of people. So really having a to-do list that's accessible anywhere, everywhere, and integrated in Teams makes life a lot easier. And the idea around Teams is that it offers a single pane of glass for collaboration. And the idea is they wanted to make it as simple as possible, really, to help enhance productivity and make it really, really easy for people to use. So that's a really quick overview of Teams. It does work on pretty much every device, whether you have an iPad, an iPhone, a desktop, a laptop, a Mac. It works on everything. So I'm going to go over some steps now quickly around how Microsoft Teams really benefits Netstar and how Netstar uses Teams at the moment. So the first thing we do is we have a ritual called a daily huddle. And the daily huddle is really a short meeting that happens every day at 10:11 within Netstar. And we bring the entire team onto this meeting. And this daily huddle really fosters a lot of collaboration and collective problem solving. Everyone gets to talk for 30 seconds. In the first 15 seconds, you get to talk about today's priorities, yesterday's victories, or information that you think others will want to know. And the next 15 seconds, you talk about where you're stuck and where you potentially need help. And what we find is after the daily huddle, there's a lot of collaboration with teammates helping each other out, and it really gives that level of alignment across the whole organization. So we've been doing the daily huddle for, I think, about 6 years now. And we've obviously just shifted to having a virtual daily huddle. And actually, we get more attendance to the virtual daily huddle than we did to the physical one. So I think it's definitely a step in the right direction for us to enhance everybody really feeling like they're together. The second thing we use Teams for is being able to have instant chat with colleagues. So obviously, we're all pretty much distributed. We can't actually go up to someone and tap them on the shoulder anymore. So instant chat enables us to be able to do that with a colleague. We can get hold of someone quickly via chat, and it really enhances the sense of belonging and emotional well-being to people. Simple things like if someone's, if you've got a hosted phone system, for example, and someone's phone, and you want to see, hey, are they there? Are they not? I've tried to ring them. You can find that out pretty quickly with chat or presence. The third thing we do with Teams is we have regular one-to-ones via video chat. So every person at Netstar has a one-to-one with their team lead or manager on a weekly basis, and it generally lasts around 30 minutes. We also use OneNote within Teams to make notes to ensure that we have actions off the back end of these one-to-ones. But being able to do them via video chat as opposed to face-to-face has really kept that method of being in touch with people going. Fourth thing we use Teams for is departmental level 10 weekly team meetings. So we're pretty guilty about 4 years ago of having terrible meetings. I'm sure some people have been in them before, where they go on forever. You don't really talk about stuff that you want to talk about, and it ends up in a bit of a mess. Maria, would you kind of agree with that comment of what it was like maybe 3 years ago?
Yeah, I completely agree. I definitely find that now in these days, with a structured meeting, we get much more done. and that we're able to prioritize things that will actually make a difference for us?
Yeah, so we have essentially 9 steps in our meeting. There is a little link at the bottom there which shows you a level 10 agenda, and when we send this round, you'll be able to click on that. But essentially, I'm not going to talk about all 9 steps and bore you to death, but I'll talk about 2 of them. So the first thing we do when we start any meeting at Netstar is we spend 5 minutes going around the room talking about good news. So what's your good news since the last time that we met? And we ask people to give one piece of positive personal good news and one piece of positive business good news. And what this really does is sets the right tone for the rest of the meeting. And another thing I want to talk about at the end of the meeting is really we ask for a rating. So between a score of 1 to 10, how effective do people rate this meeting? And the idea again is if people give us a score lower than 8, we ask them how we can improve for the next meeting. So we have some level of continuous improvement going on. Fifth thing we use Teams for at the moment is really client meetings, presentations and demonstrations. So the ability of being able to share your screen with someone can actually make things a lot easier to be able to explain things to people and actually to show them and do demonstrations. I know, Maria, you've done lots of things like this before where you've shared files and done live technology demos with clients. How have they gone?
I think they've actually gone much better than when we used to deliver them in person. We recently had a new team member joining us, and we delivered all the training remotely. None of us have actually met her in person. But what we found is that she got on board with all the information much quicker because we were able to share screens, record the trainings, and she was able to go back to the recordings and go over the information again if she needed to. So it was definitely useful.
Sure, great. And the last thing I want to show you is really company meetings, town halls, and Friday drinks. So we hold a regular monthly company meeting where we like to keep the whole team informed of anything that's going on and to create really alignment within Netstar. And we often have multiple speakers at the company event. So luckily, I don't have to listen to me all the time. Otherwise, they probably all fall asleep after an hour. So really what Teams has enabled us to do is to be able to deliver across a presentation across all of our employees at once, where we used to do this in person. And the other good thing that we've been using Teams for is really virtual social events. Netstar's quite a sociable company, and not being able to go to the pub or the bar is impacting the social things that we used to do. So we have like a happy hour every Friday after 6 o'clock. Where people use Teams to get together, and that's worked really well for us, I think. We still have the same bad jokes that happen at the social events, but there's nothing we can do about that. So I'm now going to ask Maria if you can actually share your screen, and we can go through some of the live demo elements.
Sure. Let me know when you're able to see my screen. I've just shared my Teams application.
And
awesome.
Actually, just quickly, before we go into this, what I just wanted to do is one last poll for everyone. And I just wanted to check to see how many people actually use chat in Microsoft Teams right now today.
That's a really good question. It would be interesting to see prior to the demo.
Yeah. Cool. So I think we've got slightly more people who've said no. I'll share the results to everyone now. So 43% of people do use chat in Teams. That's really good, really positive. And 57% currently don't use chat in Teams. So I'm sure hopefully you can show us how to use it and maybe some tips for the people that do use it at the moment.
Hopefully so, and I think this also links to the good 17% of people who have said that they're struggling with collaboration. And Teams is actually there to help you do exactly that. The demo is essentially structured around 3 key areas that we found empowering in a remote environment for collaboration. So the first area would be essentially designed around chat, calls. Second one would be meetings, internal or external. And the third one is actually getting work done while being at home, essentially. Many of you are probably familiar with Skype for Business and are probably still using it. And Skype for Business was really good at one main thing, and that was chat. Teams offers much more than just that. But for the beginning, let's start simple and simply start with chat. So if you do have Teams, or when you will have Teams, it's as easy as typing someone's name in from your company. We'll just pick Sarah and start chatting to them. It's not exactly turning around to your colleague at work and having a chat in person, but it's as good as it can get. And you can choose either to type and have a conversation, but why not get a little bit more personal? At Netstar, we actually insist that we call and actually video call our colleagues whenever we need to speak to them rather than just text, just to make sure that we maintain a personal note in our collaboration and we don't just hide behind a few words sent over text. So to video call someone, it's as easy as clicking on the little camera in the top right corner of the screen. I'm not actually let this call go through as I'm conscious it might interfere with the demo, but you got the idea. It's as easy as that. Next to it, you'll have the audio call button. Same thing, you can decide to audio call someone and convey the message you need to, or you can just click on the screen share button and start sharing different projects that you work or files that you work on with that person. I saw a question pop up in the Q&A section, whether you're able to share a single application or not. You're able to share your whole screen actually, or choose individual applications that you'd like to share and then swap between them. For the purpose of the demo, just to make sure that we do have the right focus. I'm only sharing Teams, but you are able to share your whole screen.
Yeah, and I think actually, Maria, from like a security setting and standpoint as well, we can set up on an organizational level why, you know, essentially if you want to share your whole screen, or if you don't, most companies probably wouldn't want to share your whole screen just in case there's stuff, you know, in the screen that people shouldn't be seeing. So typically people just share those applications. I'm going to tackle another question because it's quite a funny one. And someone's asked, why are we using Zoom today and not Teams? So the reason we're using Zoom today is because we wanted to do a live demo within Teams. We weren't quite sure how Teams would work within Teams having a demo. So that's why we're using Zoom just to cover that one off.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, to make sure it won't interfere. That's a really good point. Going back to chats, actually, there's quite a few things that you can use as tools to make the communication a little bit more personal. Things like impressions to each message that you get. You have little emojis that you can choose like this, and then who knows, you can make someone's day better. You can either choose to use GIFs, and you have this embedded in here. Or Mitt, you were asking me earlier what the weather is like in my area. I can actually share this with you over Teams if it does actually.
Or you could just look out the window.
Load up. Fair enough. Fair enough. Choose to use technology or not, you do have the option to do so. One feature that we found really, really empowering to tackle on this collaboration point that you raised earlier, Mitt, is actually using statuses in Teams. Whereas before, we used to be in an office and know whether our colleague is on the phone or working on something important in a meeting because we would see them in the meeting room. Now we don't have that luxury. So at Netstar, we use statuses in Teams. You'll probably see here in my chat list, a lot of people have either green ticks next to their name or a busy red circle next to their name, or even an idle section in here. So we use this to make sure that if someone sends us a message and we're not available to reply, they do know why and they don't feel that we're ignoring the communication. So this definitely helps empower better collaboration.
Yeah, and I think one of the things when we surveyed earlier about people being able to unplug, really, if you set the do not disturb status, it stops all sorts of messages. It'll stop any messages coming in. I've learned this as well from my daughter who uses Teams for her school, where instead of listening to her teachers, she'll be chatting all day long with her friends. So clicking that do not disturb stops any notices and pop-ups come up. Obviously, my daughter's 7 years old, and us adults have a bit more restraint than they do. But do not disturb really, cuts off all comms from it. So it really helps you disconnect.
On the flip side of do not disturb, if we do want to convey something that's really important or urgent, we do have the option to do so. So I'm just going to type a message to Sarah. This is urgent. And by just clicking the exclamation mark in the option here, we can choose to mark this message as urgent. And what it will do is it will notify the recipient every 2 minutes for 20 minutes that they've got an urgent message. The notification would pop up in their activity section, right in the top left corner of their Teams application, and this will essentially prompt them to read that message. So again, if you can't call for whatever reason and you do want to convey something urgent, you do have the option to in Teams. Also, if you do find that you chat to someone more often, you may be working on a project with them or they're part of your team and you need to collaborate instantly, you can choose to pin the chat with them. So you can simply click on these 3 dots right here and click pin. And what this will do is it will show up the chat with them at the top, no matter what other messages you do receive. So this way you can make sure that you'll never miss a message from that person again. I essentially have my team pinned in here, a new team member whom I'm training. So it's important that I do offer her the right support. And my manager, of course, just to make sure that I don't miss any important communication from him. I hope this section was useful. Moving on to organizing meetings over Teams.
Maria, sorry to butt in there. Just one thing. Somebody's actually asked us if we could demonstrate a group chat. So maybe we could just do that really quickly. So I've added Maria and Sarah into a chat now, and I'm going to write hi to both of them, and you should be able to see that. So if you just open that one up, and then can you just show how we would add another person into that chat? So if you wanted to add, I don't know, say Vicky or someone in there.
Absolutely. You would essentially just click on the little people in the top right corner of your screen, and then you can see who the current members of the chat are and how to add multiple people to the chat. And as I was saying before, you will have the people from your company mapped up, and you'll be able to just select from a list. You can choose to disclose the chat history to the new person, or not, or only include a few days worth of chat history for them, depending on what you'd like to show to them. Just click add, and Vicky is on the chat with us. And it's as easy as that.
Cool. Thanks, Maria.
No problem. Moving on to the meetings section, as I was saying, some of us feel probably disconnected from the world. I definitely do. Probably 70% of my role was not necessarily office-based. I was probably going out and about, meeting with you guys and with our other clients at least 4 or 5 times a week. So at the beginning, working remotely definitely felt a bit strange and like a struggle. But what I find now is that I actually have more meetings than I did before, because I don't need to allocate travel time to meet someone to and back from the place I was going to. And it's really easy to have a video conference on Teams, share your screen, present the same type of information, have unlimited number of participants you'd like to. So to organize a meeting on Teams, you just have to click on calendar. This will be synced to your Outlook calendar, so you would see what else you have booked in that day. Click on new meeting, add a title, your required attendees, same configuration options as you have in Outlook. And then all you have to do is hit the save button. And this will essentially send a calendar invite that will look like this. I hope you can see the Outlook calendar invite. Awesome. And this will go out to all your meeting participants. They will have an option to click on join Microsoft Teams meeting and join via Teams, or they can dial into a local number if they need to. That's an add-on that Teams allows you to have for people that are on the go or want to join from their phones instead. I'm going to switch back to Microsoft Teams.
While you do that, I'm just going to tackle another question where someone's asked, can you present to clients who don't have Teams? So, for example, where Maria's shown that calendar invite there, anybody can join a meeting even if they don't have Teams, because there's a web version that allows you to join if you've been invited.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter whether you have the application installed or not. You're able to do this from your browser. So it's really easy, and all you need is a live internet connection. I know some of us struggle with that. A lot of us have replied with bad Wi-Fi being one of the struggles of remote working. But if you don't have an issue with that, you can definitely join online. You can also organize meetings directly from Outlook. There is a Teams add-on that you can install, and you can simply create a calendar invite, click on the add-on, and this will generate the same type of link and dial-in message as you would directly from Teams. And we use this, as I was saying, not only to have internal meetings, but also to meet with our clients. So definitely a useful tool to help us get past the barrier of being stuck at home. Tapping into the third section of the demo, and probably the most complex and interesting part of Teams, let's actually find out what is a team, what is a channel, and how we actually get work done on Teams in a remote environment. In the Teams section, which is right here, I'm pointing to it, you will see I have a number of predefined teams that I'm a part of. And you can choose to create your own team at any point. So teams are essentially groups of people brought together for work, for projects, or even for common interests. You'll probably see here I have a Netstar quiz club team. So we organize quizzes and other remote interesting activity. But I'm also part of a research and development team where a subset of people from Netstar work on developing and improving the services that we provide to you guys. So teams can be quite varied and define usually broad topics. I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a team, what you can do in a team, participants, channels, and what happens in a channel. So to create a team, you simply click on join or create a team. It's very, very intuitive. Click create a team again. You can choose to build a team from scratch or create from an existing Office 365 group. For the purpose of this demo, let's build one from scratch. You can choose to have it private, which means you will be able to add participants, but other people in the company will not be able to see the team unless you invite them to the team. or you can choose to have a public team, same as we have a Netstar general team for general updates. Let's create a private team. What should we call it? I'd say let's call it WFH team. I find that this is an acronym overused in these times, and let's call it.
I'm really glad that you chose that acronym and not the other one that starts with W, because that wouldn't have been very good.
It's easy to confuse them, but hopefully we got this one right. You can choose to add a description to your team if you need to, and then just click create. Nice work. We have our first team. Now you can add members. So I was saying, because it's a private team, you'll have to invite people to the team to be able to see it. So Mit, you are going to be my first team member, and I'm also going to add Vicky. Victoria, sorry, to our team. I can choose what level of permission I want to allow them to have in the team. That can be either member or owner, and that defines what they can do and see within a team. So it's important to be careful when allocating permissions to the team, just to make sure you do maintain the right level of, role-based access control to your team files, data, so on and so forth, for data privacy. Now we have our first team, and you'll see here general. Whenever you create a team, you do have by default a general channel to that team. Before tapping into channels, let's click on manage team and see what options we have there. So again, you can choose to add members at a later date. From here, just add member, and I'll add Sarah as well to this team. Add. Great. You can also have pending requests. So some people can ask to join a team, and then you'll have to allow them in. You'll have a channel list in here as well, and different settings for the team. So, you can choose to have a team picture, just make things a little bit more fun while working remotely. Modify member permissions. So I was mentioning before about different levels of access control. This is quite critical for data protection. You can choose to mention, enable mentioning or not, and I'll explain what that is in a moment. And other fun stuff, as I was saying, GIFs, memes, and other options that you have in there to just make things a little bit more interactive. Going back to channels, channels are actually the place where work gets done. They're built around more specific topics than just teams that are slightly broader. And they are the places where you can share files, collaborate in real time, set a to-do list, and work through your task list, have meetings and share meeting notes. All these are possible in channels. So for the purpose of this exercise, let's just add a channel called marketing. I just clicked on the add channel button, and let's just call it marketing WFH project. Again, you can choose to add a description, and for data privacy, again, you can choose to have it standard, accessible to everyone in the team, or you can choose to have a private channel, so only accessible to a specific group of people. I'm going to tick automatically show this channel in everyone's channel list to make sure that everyone can see it. I'm going to add it, and there we go. We have our first actual working channel. You've seen before the mentioning option. So in a channel, you do have a chat panel, same as you have in normal chat, one-on-one chat. Oh, and Mit has just mentioned me in here. So mentioning someone is, again, another great way of prompting them to see that a message is directed to them, and to make sure that they don't miss out on any important communication directed to them. As opposed to the standard one-on-one chats that we've looked at before, the chat section from within a channel gives you a little bit more ability to make sure that you do get the right communication across. As I said, things like mentioning someone, or things like replying to an individual communication trail. So as you can see here, I replied directly to Mitt, and this will show up for him right at the bottom of his conversation. Or I can start a new communication trail with Sarah, part of the same team. So I'm going to mention Sarah and say hi. So all of a sudden, I can have two different communication trails with two different people within the same team. So really, really powerful. I was saying earlier, we have the ability to do much more in here. Things like sharing files, setting a planner. Let's see how we can do that. So I'm just going to go to my working channel, which is the marketing project. And I'm going to keep the general one for general team updates. So right in this bar here next to the channel's name, again, you have posts, and this is essentially the chat section that we were looking at before. And we also have a section called files. So in here, you can add any file you're working on and share it with your team and start collaborating in real time. To add files in here, you can simply drag and drop from your desktop onto the Teams app, which I just did. And there you go. We have our first file in Teams. I'm just going to drag and drop another file in here. So as you can see, there are no restrictions on the types of files that we can add and work on. Alternatively, you can simply click on new and it'll create a new Excel workbook for you. To collaborate in real time, you can simply click on a file and you can choose to, here we go, open it up within the Teams application. And then I can start editing it in real time.
Yeah, this is a really cool feature, actually. But one of the things that we use in our leadership team meetings is we vote on issues that we talk about. So we can actually have this spreadsheet up with a list of the issues with columns that people can vote in, and that people just type in the numbers of how urgent they want to talk about it, and live we get a result.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very, very powerful feature. It can also be used in simple things like working on a KPI spreadsheet in the same time, making sure, you know, you can deliver a document on time and you can get people's feedback in real time. These are the types of files that you can even share your screen with external participants with and modify them in real time and then just send them on. If you don't necessarily fancy this view of Excel Online within the Teams app, right here you can choose to open it in the desktop app. And what this will do is it will launch Excel, your Excel application, and it will launch this file in Excel. I'm just going to share Excel right now for you. Share. And any changes you make, if you do choose to use the desktop application, will actually be saved in real time and available to all the other members of your team. So if I just go back to my Teams view, you'll see here that this cell is circled and it has my name next to it. This is because when I am working on the Excel application on the desktop, this is the cell that I'm working on right now. So this prevents creating duplicates or overwriting someone else's data in a document. And the same thing happens in Word or PowerPoint. So again, very powerful for collaboration in a remote environment. To close the file, you just click on close and it will be automatically saved. And the way to check this is by viewing who modified the file and when the file has been modified. So again, really powerful for audit trail and to make sure you don't lose data or you don't have multiple versions of the same file unnecessarily. Moving on, we do have a wiki section in here. And this is essentially where we take meeting notes. So I'm just going to name this page meeting notes. Again, you'll see when the page has been last edited, really important for versioning and audit trail. And I can start having my first meeting and writing down the meeting notes. Why not in real time?
Hey Maria, just to kind of butt in and let you know, we've got quite a lot of questions, and I know we're kind of running out of time now.
Yeah.
Just wanted to check how much more content have you got to go through, sort of make sure we answer some of these questions.
Absolutely. I think if I cover meeting notes and the planner section, that's about it in
Great.
Teams and channels. And then I can hand back over to you.
Perfect.
Awesome. So meeting notes, if you have multiple meetings, you can just select a new date in here and it will be really easy to navigate between different notes. So very empowering. And then finally, planner. Click on add an app, choose planner, and start creating your first to-do list. So some people have said that you guys feel really, you find it difficult to unplug. Having a planner and prioritizing your tasks may be an easy way to review and to review the things that you have to do and shuffle them around between different days to make sure you don't overload yourself in a single day. So really easy to add a task. You can just enter the task name, set a due date for it. So this can be done by next week, and then assign the right team member for that task.
This is my favorite part, Maria, assigning it to someone who's not me.
That's actually Mitt. You can review. You have a charts section, so you can actually review the spread of the tasks across the members of your team to make sure that you spread them evenly and one member is not overloaded. And again, they can cope and manage their time with the number of tasks that they've been allocated to in different projects. And individually, each member is able to see the tasks of their team and other teams that they're part of in their personal planner. And just to wrap this up, of course, you can choose to add multiple applications in here. And this is probably something for everyone to tap into and explore depending on their business models and what works best for them. And to end this, as I was saying, in the left-hand side section here, you can choose to access the same activities and files just from different angles. So again, you can see all your files in here, the date that they've been modified and the team that they're associated with. You can choose to make calls directly from the call section and even select people to have on speed dial. Why not, if you talk to them often? And finally, you do have an activity trail in here where you have you'll be able to see if anyone mentioned you, now that we're familiar with the concept of mentioning someone, if anyone reacted to something that you've sent to them, or if someone replied individually to you in a Teams chat. In general, terms, this is roughly it. So I hope that this was useful for everyone. We are able to share some more documentation and provide individual training on it. So we can essentially help you customize it for your business model. But I'll let Mitt explain a little bit more about that.
Cool. Thanks, Maria. Really appreciate the demo. I'm glad it all worked, because one thing is when you normally have demos, they don't always go to plan all the time. I'm sorry, we are overrunning a bit. If people do have to go, like I said, we are going to be sending a recording out. We should only be another sort of 5 to 6 minutes now. I'm just going to share my screen. Just give me 1 second. He says. See, Maria, this is the first technical glitch now we've had all day. We were going so well, weren't we? Here we go. I found it. Screen share. Cool. So really, this is the first 10 things to do in Teams. We're not going to go over all these 10 things now because we've run out of time, but I'm just going to start with the first thing, which is really start with chat. Now we've got sort of 50% or so of people using chat anyway, but use the chat. I think that's really the first good thing to do here. Can Netstar help with what we've just been talking about? So the first thing is, on Tuesday, we made an announcement to all of our clients that we're going to give you access to 300 training videos for free. And I think there are around 7 to 10 videos just on Teams in itself. So please feel free to log on and use that. There are lots of great videos and content on this system, even down to stuff like how to stay productive and positive when working remotely, and how to use all sorts of applications. So please use that. If you're not sure about that, please reach out to us and we can get you set up and the rest of your team. We also do offer project services around implementation. We do have a lot of best practice guides that we're more than happy to give to you guys. If you do want us to help with implementing Teams in your organization, we kind of have 3 stages around this, which is really plan, implement, and review. I'm not going to go into detail on all these, but some of the things we do are up on the screen here. But generally, if you do want our help to implement Teams, we're more than happy to do that. Our project team have done this time and time again. I think they've done at least 15 customers in the last 3 weeks because it's been a hot topic for us. But we can definitely help you get the best out of Teams. That leaves really time for the Q&A. So I know we've got lots of questions on there. We're going to start with the first question that's come up quite a few times, which is really, can we share stuff with people that is not within our company? So can I chat to people not in my company? Can I share files? Can they be part of a team? So this is completely possible in Teams. There's a security setting that needs to be changed in the back end, but you can share with people externally. So you can chat with different people outside your organization and even have people as a team member. They will show up as a guest, but you can do that. Should we take another question then, Maria? What other ones do we have here? So we have, why are some external team meetings blocked? Exactly the same reason we spoke about then around the security settings. We can get that set up. Let's hope some open ones. Can we demonstrate how to share files? Sharing files can be done within Teams. What we'll do is we'll reach out to the person that asked us that, and we can show you a bit more about how to do that individually, but it is pretty simple to get done. Megan asked, how do we create a to-do list within the team channel? This is within an app called Planner, which you can add, which I think Maria's covered already.
Yeah.
So we've got that one done. And someone's just asked to show the 10 first step slides again. So I'm going to go back to that now. Here we go. Feel free to take a screenshot. We'll obviously send this around to people. So I know we haven't been able to answer all the questions. We do have all these questions documented. We will reach out to everybody individually. We'd just like to thank you for your time today. Sorry we overran a bit. And if you do have any more questions that we haven't posted already, please feel to reach out to me and Maria directly.